I am the director of the Office of Maunakea Management, and I've been with the office since 2000 when it was first established. I will be talking about the management of Mauna Kea. But first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about the areas that the university is responsible for managing. We are responsible for the Halipohaku area, which is the mid-level area. We're also responsible for the road, managing this access road. And we're also responsible for managing the Mauna Kea Science Reserve. The Mauna Kea Science Reserve is this large area, and it is basically broken into two areas. You have a cultural and natural preserve, which is the larger of the two parcels, and then there's the astronomy precinct, in which all of the telescopes are located, except for one which is located further down here, the VLBA. In the cultural and natural preserve, it is a preservation area, and no development can take place in this area. And this is the astronomy precinct. In 2000, the University of Hawaii Board of Regents adopted a new master plan for Mauna Kea. And this is a result of the response to the community's concerns for how the university was managing the mountain since the 60s. And this master plan was a new policy guide for Mauna Kea. And it had four areas of focus. One, it was a new policy for the university. It provided a management structure. It put development restrictions on Mauna Kea, and it also contained a project review process. So this new policy called for a dedicated management, and that its purpose was to protect and preserve the resources, which includes both includes the cultural, natural, as well as the scientific resources. And the policy also called for community-based management. And it had to be located on the island of Hawaii and based at the University of Hawaii at Hilo, as opposed to the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So this management structure is composed of the Office of Mauna Kea Management, and we report directly to the University of Hawaii Chancellor. Advising us is the Mauna Kea Management Board. It is composed of 7 members and serve as volunteers from the community, as well as representatives from the Board of Regents. Also advising us is a Kahuku Mauna Council. It is made up of 7 members from the Native Hawaiian community, and they also serve as volunteers. Our management responsibilities includes for us is the oversight of the day-to-day activities on the mountain. The Mauna Kea Management Board and Kahuku Mauna help us to develop and implement management programs, as well as to review projects proposed and recommended, and they in turn recommend approval or disapproval of the projects. So the project review process for major projects, such as the 30-meter telescope, is based on the design guidelines which are included in the master plan. It has a design review committee, which is composed of representatives from Kahuku Mauna, the Mauna Kea Management Board, and volunteer community experts such as engineers, architects, landscape architects, and planners. They all review the plans proposed for the telescope, such as the 30-meter telescope. Kahuku Mauna is consulted. The Mauna Kea Management Reviews takes the consultation of Kahuku Mauna, and they in turn review it, and they recommend whether or not the project should be approved or disapproved. The Chancellor of the and their recommendation is forwarded to the Chancellor of University of Hawaii at Hilo, and on to the President, and finally to the Board of Regents, who makes the final determination. Now the master plan calls for, places limitations on development of telescopes on Mauna Kea. For one thing, astronomy development can only take place within the astronomy precinct, not outside in the cultural and natural preserve. No development is allowed on undisturbed pu'us. It must use existing infrastructure, and then sites are recycled. In the case of the TMT, it is the last telescope that would be developed on undisturbed land. So any future development would take place on a site that is presently occupied by a current telescope. Our stewardship responsibilities. So for us, one of the things that we did was Kahuku had mentioned to us is, you know, there's less than 30% of the archaeological sites that have been inventoried on the Mauna Kea. So what we did was we funded a study, a survey. It took 4 years to complete. We surveyed the entire science reserve and the road, as well as Halepohaku. We have documented over 250 historic sites, which mostly are shrines, some ahu, as well as burials. We funded an archival and an oral history project where we've looked at what Gerald had mentioned. Kepal Miley went and did some studies for us at the various archives on the mainland, and he also conducted some oral histories of members in this community who had ties to the mountain. And we also do signage. One sign that we have on the summit is to alert or inform our visitors, many of them who are not from Hawaii, about the sacredness of Mauna Kea and to be respectful. And we also do an orientation. The orientation is required of all employees on the mountain, including those that work at the telescopes. And the orientation covers both the cultural as well as the environmental sensitivities and significance of Mauna Kea. For cultural management, we develop policies with the Kahuku Mauna and programs addressing cultural matters, such as signage and the spread of cremains. Our purpose is to generate awareness through the orientation of those who work on the mountain. We do group presentations as well as outreach activities. And we do the implementation of plans. So following the archaeological inventory survey of the Science Reserve, we have a monitoring plan, an archaeological monitoring plan, and a burial treatment plan, both of which were approved and reviewed and approved by the Hawaii Island Burial Council and the Historic Preservation Division. For natural resources, similarly to the archaeological resources, we needed first to establish baseline data. Prior to the establishment of the office, not much was known about the resources on the mountain. So one of the first things we did was to start to survey and study the vecu bug. We've been doing that since 2002. It takes a long time for biological resources to assess their status. So that was one of the first things we began, was back in 2002. We have been surveying for alien species. Alien species is a very big concern for us on the mountain because of the native species and the impact that alien species could have on our native flora and biota. Our biggest concern is ants. Ants can have a big impact on the native arthropods, many of which have coexisted and are pollinators for our native plants. We've completed a botanical survey of our lands, and we will soon be implementing a monitoring program for the botanical surveys. Okay. Following the baseline studies and research, we implement our monitoring plans. We are continue to monitor the vecu bug, as well as arthropods. We have a big concern is as threats to the resources, and so we have developed and put into place an invasive species plan. It's a very rigorous plan. All of the observatories are required to comply with this, as well as the vendors who make deliveries up to the mountain. All projects that are presented to the office and the Mauna Kea Management Board must review the CMP for compliance. So all of their proposals contains how their project is in compliance with the CMP. It is a requirement of the Mauna Kea Management Board. We are also looking at ecosystem and cultural landscape protection, and we have funded research in climate change as well as an erosion study, and this is to assess what these two types of systems and activities might have on the landscape, and the data from which we will be using to develop programs to manage and protect the resources. We are in the process of conducting a habitat rehabilitation study for the Vecu bug, looking at how we can possibly restore habitat or create new habitat for the bug. We are also in the process of developing a geospatial database from which we will be doing some further and additional mapping. One of the most important aspects of the office is our ranger program. Many of you are familiar with them. They are there 365 days a year, from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. They are our ambassadors for the office. They are the eyes and ears of the office because of their daily presence. They interface with our visitors. They talk to them and explain to them about the significance of Mauna Kea. They provide traffic control. They look out for the health and safety of our visitors. Their main purpose is, of course, resource protection, but at the same time, we want them to have a safe visit to the mountain. They are there to provide first responder first aid for individuals who are in need of it. They do trash removal on a daily basis, and they also do inspections of all the telescopes for compliance with their permits from the Department of Land and Natural Resources. We started out with 2 rangers in 2001. It has increased to 9 positions, plus we have 2 part-time rangers on the weekends. Helping us is our volunteer group. They are helping us right now with the removal of invasive weeds at the mid-level facilities. They come, and they're also, with the long-term goal for our office is to revegetate that area with native vegetation. One of the first revegetation efforts is we were assisting the Department of Land and Natural Resources in the planting of silver swords. We also do outreach primarily with schools. Here's an individual with the University of Hawaii at Hilo who is working on our erosion study, working with one of the schools using this drone. Basically, this is what he's using to do this erosion study so he doesn't have to walk all over the terrain. So this helps to reduce the impact that he's having with his study. And we also keep the community informed through OMKM's newsletter. What guides us is this comprehensive management plan. Many of you know of it, and it's referred to as the CMP. In 2009, the Board of Land and Natural Resources approved this comprehensive management plan. It is the state's plan for managing Mauna Kea, and it is a plan that the university follows and complies with in its management of the mountain. It is the state's overarching management for Mauna Kea. In addition to that, the Land Board had requested that the university develop 4 additional plans. The Cultural and Natural Resources plans provides details on how we manage both of these types of resources. We have a decommissioning plan, which spells out the process for how telescopes will be decommissioned on Mauna Kea. This decommissioning plan also contains the future of astronomy out to the year 2033. And it is anticipated within the next 15 to 20 years that there will be fewer telescopes in the mountain, possibly around the number of 10. It also spells out some of the restrictions for how telescopes can be developed on the mountain. And the 4th subplan is our public access plan. The public access plan provides the policies and principles for how we develop administrative rules. One of the things that the state auditor had mentioned back in 1998, as well as subsequent audits, is that the university needs to develop administrative rules governing public and commercial activities. We started the process, but we discovered that we did not have the legislative authority to do that. And it took us several years going to the legislature to get that authority, and we were finally granted that back in 2009. The public access plan provides us the guidelines for how we develop these rules. The law that gave us the authority to promulgate rules says that our rules need to be consistent with the Department of Land and Natural Resources, primarily being that the DLNR's lands completely surrounds the university lands. It also contains penalties and fines for violation of any of our rules. The purpose of the rules is to provide a proper use, management, and protection of the resources, as well as maintaining public safety and welfare. Our rules, as we envision them, will also have a special section in it that addresses traditional and customary practices. The rules themselves do not provide the means for why we need to observe the traditional customary practices, but it does acknowledge that these rights are contained in the state constitution, and that these rules are not intended to diminish or abrogate the rights of individuals of Native Hawaiian ancestry to exercise their traditional cultural practices. We are in the process of developing these rules. We'll be going out for public open houses in a month, and we would like many people to attend this and to give us their input as to how these rules should look like. And I think that's it. So, sorry I went through this fairly quickly, but it's almost 9 o'clock.